Gambit, joined as always, Fantasy J77. Jason, how are we doing tonight?
Good. Fantasy season is I hate to say the word finally over, but it's
Yeah.
over. Um, we did we did take home a couple little, couple little championships. So that's a good thing. Um, I don't want to step on your toes here, but I think we got some great news coming out of Cincinnati today. Um, with with uh with Hamlin with some progress. So that's nice to hear. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I only had one final that I made this year out of my four different leagues, at least the ones that are like my highest ones that I care about, and I got trounced. I thought I had a really good start because I had Dak and I also had the tight end for the Cowboys that's escaping me right now.
Dalton Schultz.
Dalton Schultz, and he had a really good start. I mean, Dak didn't do great, but it is a super flex league, and I had my wide receiver core was Justin Jefferson, who completely let me down. Chris Godwin had a decent game, and Amon-Ra did meh. Okay, it's pretty good receiver core, and I lost to someone who started Richie James, so I'm pretty devastated about that. I don't know how you can even start Richie James in your final, but he did, and he beat the shit out of me. So
Yeah. So I had a buddy of mine shoot me a message on Twitter. It was like, hey, so here are my options: Richie James or Mike Evans. And I hate to start Mike Evans because he's been so bad for the last 7-8 weeks. And I'm like, yeah. I said my gut tells me that it's Mike Evans. Mike Evans is what my gut is. And so ironically, that same night, do you know who Kelly and Phoenix is on Twitter?
I don't think so.
Okay, you'll have to check out her Twitter stuff. But anyway, she does a show with two twin 8-year-old girls, and it's on uh Club Fantasy, I believe. Anyway, they do a little start sit deal. And so I was like, you know what? I love these girls. These girls are awesome. They're 8 years old, remind you, right? But they play
Hmm.
fantasy. They're already creating content. They're gonna be the next women of fantasy, by the way. But anyway, so I messaged them. I'm like, hey, so here's my options. And she looks it dead in the camera and says, the answer is always Mike Evans. So of course I had to respond, and he starts Mike Evans, and literally within 10 minutes of the game, Mike Evans drops a ball. Richie James has already scored a touchdown, and he's messaged me going, I can't believe I trusted my gut. Next thing you know, Mike Evans, a 70-yarder, a 60-yarder, a 30-yarder, and he's like, I knew my gut was telling me right. I knew it. Richie James had a great week, by the way. But
Yeah, he did.
Mike Evans was just, that's the second time in 3 years that Mike Evans has done that. A 40-point game in championship week. Second
Yeah.
time in 3 years. So, he may not be great during the last half of the season, for the fantasy season, but man, how do you leave him out of your lineup, right?
Right. In my most expensive league that I'm in that I play out in Vegas, um, this guy had Mike Evans and Tom Brady on his bench, and it's like a specialized scoring league and everything, and they basically had like 120 some points between the both of them, and yeah, he would have been in first now had he did that. So
Yeah, you look at the rankings week by week. I mean, Tom Brady hasn't been a top five QB
right.
since week 3 or something like that. Mike Evans hasn't been a top 5 wide receiver since like week 4 or something along those lines. And then both of them due to playing Carolina, due to the pressure of must win, basically, to win a division. And you got QB1, wide receiver one, and I'll be honest, just by the way Twitter was looking, and different analysts and everybody like that, it looked like a lot of people had both. If they had both of them on their team or one or the other, they had them on their bench.
Yeah.
There was so many so many that had him on their bench that were just like, I can't believe I sat him.
Oh yeah, I mean, like you said, I mean, they've both pretty much been unstartable for the better part of the season, especially the last month or so. And I mean, they were basically being talked to as flex options, both as a super flex and just as a regular flex.
Yeah.
No one, I don't think, was too hyped to be. You didn't really make the playoffs, I would say, had you been starting them as your wide receiver one, quarterback one. So
Right.
I mean, if you made it, they finally paid off. And guys like me who had Jefferson, who was amazing all year, ended up screwing me in the finals. So
yeah. So real quick question on that Jefferson thing. Do you think that it was, I don't think it was Jefferson, and I don't think it was, I think it was the situation altogether. I think Green Bay came to play, number one. But I also, what was the cornerback?
Jair Alexander.
Jair Alexander. He was like, Jefferson went off on them in the first game, this
Right.
year. And he came out and he said it was a fluke. But I don't think it was a fluke, but I think that gave the whole team some momentum. And then when they didn't click right away, I think that built even more momentum. And then Green Bay was like, you know what? This is our game. Jair Alexander played out of his mind.
Oh yeah,
I mean, it was insane.
He's a great cornerback, but there's a lot of those guys that interdivision rivals, stuff like that, that go up against each other twice a year.
Mm-hmm.
They circle those games. They look to prove themselves in those games. So definitely came out swinging, and like you said, I think they got off to a slow start, and it just gave Green Bay more confidence and lost more confidence for the Vikings. So yeah, I completely agree with that.
Yeah. We had some great games. We had some great games this week. We had some take the Monday night stuff away, and the championship round I think was pretty good. We had some duds, like you were saying, Justin Jefferson, but we had some great matchups all around. I think as far as the schedule was laid out.
Oh, definitely. There was some, before Monday's events happened. I mean, I think everyone was kind of talking about it as, a great weekend. There was a lot of really close matchups, everything like that. So, yeah, we'll definitely hit up on some of these or whatever and review some of them. But before we do that, Jamie chimed in here saying he won an overall points best ball league by 38 points with Evans getting 40. So, kudos on that. That's a great time to get that. So, congrats on that. I guess, we should, talk about the situation on Monday. I know it's a downer issue. We did get great news, like you said earlier in the show today. At least looks like things are improving. Damar is neurologically intact. He has been able to communicate via written letter because he still is on a breathing tube. But at least a lot of signs looking up because it's a really, really scary, unfortunate situation. So I know all of us here had thoughts, prayers, emotions, everything like that with him. So glad to see that he's actually recovered because, I mean, in a previous life, not so long ago, maybe 10, 15 years ago, I was actually an EMT trained. And just the work that those guys did there, man, is just absolutely incredible. With literally giving CPR for 9 minutes, not breathing on your own, not getting that oxygen, that is incredible if they were able to save that man's life. And it looks like, I know he's not out of the woods yet, but as far as we can tell, some of the best news that we could have gotten regarding the whole situation because it was looking pretty bleak there for quite a while.
Yeah, I posted a tweet. I retweeted a tweet that was sent out by Lawrence Tynes because I didn't know this. But, he's a former player, and even as a former player, he was not aware of how many medical professionals are on site at every game. There are a ton. So props to the medical staff on the field because even I know I heard this. I don't remember if I heard it on Twitter, if I heard it on like ESPN or radio or whatever. But the doctors come out and said that the progress that he has made to this point has been phenomenal. But if it wasn't for those first responders basically being right there on the field and administering the CPR right away, we wouldn't even be in this situation, or thinking that we would be in this situation because, man, for did you see what the first thing he said or the first thing that he wrote down on the pad of paper?
Yeah, did we win?
Did we win? That's all he cared about. Did we win?
I think that's why his teammates love him so much too. I mean, the first thing he comes out of thinking is about his team.
Yes, that, and I think it was also when you say something like that, going through that situation, your doctors are 100% don't know exactly everything that neurology or neurologic, whatever the word is, that's going on right now. But you've gone through this situation, and the first thing you think about, or the first thing you remember, is you were playing a game. That tells you that hopefully what they did, or definitely what they did on the field, kept the oxygen flowing. So at least you didn't have a ton, or at least to this point have a ton of loss
Yeah,
in the
that's
brain. So that's phenomenal news.
yeah, especially because I think, probably most people in that situation, the actual medical staff on the Bills, let alone the EMTs there, when you see a player go down like that, you're not instantly thinking, okay, this guy's having a cardiac episode. It's, oh, he's probably got a concussion, whatever. So to really recognize and understand that, okay, he's not even breathing right now, and
Right.
jump into action, I mean, that's what really saved his life there, was them recognizing it as quickly as they did, and then just not giving up on it as well. So
Oh,
yeah,
100%.
just all around, man, it was really scary. Just from all of us watching. I mean, I'm sure as everyone here listening has experienced, just watching that game and seeing the players' reaction, we all knew it was something pretty serious. I mean, I don't know what exactly was going through everyone's head at that time, but you think we definitely understood seemed to be a little more serious than just your typical concussion or even paralyzation or something like that. So yeah, pretty scary. I know it's affected a lot of people's matchups, especially in the Dynasty community here. Um, there's been a lot of interesting things going on as far as how to resolve the situation, because I know a lot of people had a lot of premier players still to go in that league. So hopefully everyone's being cool about it. I've seen some stuff on Twitter where, definitely some leagues are having some people cause some issues. So hopefully, just remember it's a game. We do this to have fun. I mean, you can still play it by ear, see kind of what the NFL is going to do. There's rumors about what they're going to do at the moment. I still haven't seen 100% confirmation.
It has actually come out already.
Oh, did it?
Yes. So the Associated Press has reported that the Bills-Bengals game will not resume.
Okay.
So it's pretty much, it is what it is at this point. It's a done deal. The NFL is still, I guess, still trying to figure out how playoff seeding is going to work, how scheduling is going to work over, with the AFC side of things. Because there's with the Bills and the Bengals both not playing one less game, or even possibly going into the AFC Championship game. If the Bills or Bengals were to make either spot there, they would be playing. And let's say the Bills get the 1 seed, the Bills would actually play 2 less games total instead of 1 less game with the bye. So there's talks of letting the whoever the 1 seed is have a choice of whether you take a bye or home field advantage, and then the 2 seed gets the other option, kind of a thing. There's talks of taking the AFC Championship game, if it's the Bills or Cincinnati, and making it a neutral site field kind of deal. I don't know how it's all going to work out. Again, this is all, at least in my mind, this is all uncharted territory.
Right.
So I don't know what they're gonna do, but that is the latest that I have seen, and it came out. It's like I said, it's reported on the Associated Press, so I'm assuming that's pretty reputable.
Yeah.
But we shall see what they actually do with. But it sounds like they're not going to play the game, which is probably the right thing to do.
Yeah, so then that's just going to put the onus back on the commissioners out there, players involved. At least as far as the dynasty community goes, and how you want to handle this. Just like I said, we do play this for money, but also we play this to have fun. So hopefully don't be too difficult about it. I mean, it's kind of putting all the commissioners in a rock and a hard place. I will say shout out to my home league. I am the commissioner of that league, and they made it extremely easy on me. There was a chance, had Jamar Chase been able to finish that game, that he might have had enough points to win, but the guys in my league were very cool about it, decided on a solution between them. So, like I said, I know it's a tough situation for everybody.
Yeah, the one thing I will say, as far as the leagues go, ultimately, unless there's a punishment involved, with coming in last place, that's something you can negotiate down the road or whatever. But when it comes to the payouts, To be honest, guys, I'm in more leagues than I need to be in, and most of
Look
those leagues, whenever the problem or the issue arose of well, they're not going to play the game or they're going to play the game. What are we doing here? Sleeper decided, whatever it was yesterday, or the day before, that they were done. I don't know what MFL did. Doesn't really matter. But we were asked in multiple leagues. I was asked to vote on how we should do this. And to be quite honest, I wasn't in the championship game, nor was I in the third place game in these leagues. And my response was simple. I don't have a dog in the hunt. The only people that should be voting on this are the teams that are in battling for first, second, third. That's it. And the other league that I was in a third place, it was decided prior to me even seeing the chat. The guy that I was playing for the third place game was like, this is how I want to do this. And it was a close matchup. It wasn't like it was a 25-point spread. It was literally like a 4-point spread. I think I was behind by 4. And so he was like, we're splitting the pot if you're good with that. And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. We'll just call it done. Let's, this is a game we're playing. And so that's what we did in the leagues that I was in where the issue came up. Guys, it's a game. It's fun. I understand money's involved, but common sense has got to get involved as well when it comes down to it.
Right. I've been in a couple different ones where we did the same thing. I know I said something similar to my guys where I said, if you guys can't come upon an agreement, then, we can do a vote at that point. But at least the affected team should have, to stay, for my opinion, as well. But
right.
I know a couple of leagues I was in, they ended up giving the actual average of the players, what they've done on the season. So, I mean, there's possible solutions out there. I know some people don't like that as well. But just talk it out. Like I said, first and foremost, I agree with Jay. Give it to the guys who are actually involved, who it affects. There's no sense in the last place team having a say in money when he's not even involved. So I do agree with that there. So like I said, guys, enjoy it. It's a game. It's, crazy circumstances. It's a 1 in a million hit that guy took. I mean, it wasn't really a violent hook that Damar took. And I think it just, the right heartbeat at the right time to where, it was either in between beats or something. I mean, you're talking milliseconds at a time to where he took that, and that's the end result. So at least looking right now that we have some good news on that front, hoping to continue. I know everyone here at Going for Two is continuing to hope for his recovery, and we will keep you all updated as the season progresses. But with that being said, good luck to Damar. Hope everything goes well. The really cool thing about that, I will say, last thing, is his charity, which I'm sure everyone is aware of right now. He had a GoFundMe that was $2,500 as a goal, which just gives a 6th-round pick. He's not one of these guys that's, making life-changing money, anything like that. He's barely making money that's going to affect him for the next few years, let alone his life. So really cool to see. But now it's over $6.5 million last I saw. That was 8 now. Wow.
Over 8 million.
Wow.
Which is phenomenal, by the way. Thank you to to the people out there. I mean, I'm speaking on his behalf, and I don't have his permission to speak on his behalf, but I know this is exactly what he would say. Thank you for supporting a very good charity. I mean, this guy does toy drives, and he's been doing it since he was in. The reason the goal is at $2,500 is he's been doing it since he was in college. So this isn't something that he just started, this year or a year ago. He started this 3 or 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so now one of his close friends, I think maybe it's his marketing manager. I can't remember what Jordan is, but I've seen him on a couple of different shows. He's been on ESPN. He's been on the Pat McAfee show. He he did not have access to this GoFundMe account, right? So he had to actually go to GoFundMe and go all this red tape, which thankfully, doesn't have to really worry about at this point. But when it jumped to a couple $1 million, and it did that in a matter of hours, like it went from like 2,500 to $1.5 million in like 3 hours. It was crazy. Yeah. It was crazy the support that he got for everything. I mean, absolute wonderful. He's going to be able to use this money and actually do good things because that's the kind of person he is. that's the kind of person that it seems like that everybody that I've heard from says about him. He's a good dude, all around good dude. You know, he's a family dude. He wants to take care of the kids. So props to him. Get well soon, and get back to doing you. Oh man, that's such good news.
Definitely. So yeah. So with that all being said, we're gonna do our awards show. So normally Brian would be here with us, part of the 3-man band. He could not make it tonight, but he did still give us his pick. So as we go over this, we are going to be giving you who we think the award winners are, just for our own thoughts here. So if you have your own, make sure to go ahead and comment, write those in as we go along as well, and we'll make sure to display them on the screen here. So with that being said, first award that we're going to talk about is the Dynasty Rookie of the Year. So Jason, since you did all the hard work, compiled this show sheet, everything, why don't you go ahead and give us your Rookie of the Year?
Oh, yeah, for me, it's pretty simple. You know, we got the 3 of us that actually voted. I actually threw a couple of these into our Discord to see what the Discord thought as well. So I am taking, I took Kenneth Walker. The reason I did, and I brought this up last night on the show that I was on. Kenneth Walker this year was, you know, to start off the year, he was just he was the number 2 in the draft for the running backs. It was Breece Hall, Tier, and then Walker. And I was pretty high on Walker to start the year. I loved everything about the kid. I did not think for one second that he was that far behind Breece Hall. By no means. I'm trying to pull it as I'm talking here, so give me a second. There it is. For a kid that played 14 games, when you take the bye week out and he missed 2 other games, wasn't the starter, right? He wasn't the starter starting the year. So like the first 4 weeks, I think it was when who was it that was the starter that got hurt? Running back. League winner last year.
Why am I having a blank on his name?
Right. I'm doing the same thing. It's not Homer. It's not DJ Dallas. Oh, Lord. Anyway, Rashad Penny. When Rashad Penny went down, now you're giving the range to a rookie. And this guy went, 70+% of the snaps, for a period of time. And everybody said he could not catch the ball. Couldn't catch the ball. Well, he did that as well. This year. I'm giving my Rookie of the Year to Kenneth Walker. 189 points over 14 games. Comes out to about a 13-point average, a little more than 13-point average. So, yeah, Kenneth Walker for sure for me.
Right. We actually have the same Rookie of the Year winner for both of us and the second runner-up.
Yeah, we did.
Before we get to that, I will show a couple on here. So it looks like our friend George here on YouTube saying Walker for sure. Got Jamie chiming back in here with Sauce Gardner. Also helping us out with Penny, just a little too late. Appreciate it. And George back again with Aiden Hutchinson. So definitely, like I said, we're definitely a little more focused on the dynasty aspect here. So with that being said, we both also had Dameon Pierce as our second runner-up, first runner-up or whatever. So yeah, I mean, it was really close because, Walker, he didn't start the same way Pierce did. Pierce, was pretty much given the job after the first 2 games. Walker had to earn it with a little bit of injury and a little bit of that, but he just, took off and kept going. So, but Pierce had an extremely good year, for a 3rd-round pick, a lot of the times.
Fourth round pick.
Okay.
That's right. 4th-round pick.
Yeah. So for that, in a lot of dynasty startups, or not even startups, but just dynasty drafts, he was going probably 2nd, 3rd round a lot of different times. I don't think really too many people were taking him in the 1st unless they were super sold on him. So just an incredible year. Running back has been a position of need for everybody. It's a really thin position anymore these days with a lot of committees and people getting hurt. So Dameon Pierce came out super strong. Looks like he's probably going to lock that job down. They have a lot of other needs to address on the Texans right now, so I could see them just continuing to roll with him. So, yeah, I think Dameon Pierce, borderline Rookie of the Year, but Kenneth Walker, all 3 of us, actually, Brian, who's not even here, had Kenneth Walker as well. So,
Yeah, and just to jump on the Dameon Pierce thing, if Dameon Pierce hadn't got hurt, he probably would have, for me, won a because of where he was drafted, because of what his expectations were, and he was on the worst damn team in the league, and
Right.
he was the brightest spot on that team. So, but yeah,
Especially on a team where they're behind a lot, so it's real easy to get away from the running game. And he still stayed, pretty consistent. I know he
mhm.
started dropping off a little bit before he got hurt, but still did a really phenomenal job being on that team. So we will give you Brian's second place pick because he also, like I said, had Kenneth Walker first. But he went with Olave, which I thought was a really good choice as well because that kid really, lit the world on fire there, especially a wide receiver. The Saints, having a lot of, not great quarterback play. I know Dalton's done good, but he was, not expected to be having the season that he is currently having. And yeah, Olave just almost every week was a solid wide receiver 2, 3 flex play. So he was really good, scored a lot of touchdowns, had a great year, super fast. So he lived up to the hype. So yeah, do you have any thoughts on Olave here?
No, the only thing I would disagree with Olave on is because of he had a little bit better quarterback situation than Garrett Wilson.
Right.
But Garrett Wilson, I mean, dude he's gone over 1,000 yards. I guess this would be like this would probably actually be my second pick. So I'm gonna talk about Garrett Wilson for just a quick second. Garrett Wilson over 1,000 yards with the likes of quarterback Mike White, Zach Wilson, and Joe Flacco, and the dude just went for 1,000. So give Garrett Wilson all the credit. I would have, looking at the numbers, Garrett Wilson probably should be my second, and he's not, but he probably should be. Olave is, if they can figure out what the hell they're going to do at head coach and quarterback there in New Orleans, Olave could be what we think Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson are. He's got the talent to do it, in my opinion, anyway. He's got the talent to do it. And I think that if they get the quarterback, let Jameis Winston freaking play this week. And let's see if he can throw up 1,000 yards in a game. I mean, it's possible. Get rid of the Taysom Hill experience, the Andy Dalton experience. That stuff's over. Let's move on from that. You're out of the playoffs. You may as well go ahead and throw in Jameis Winston for whatever reason they're not wanting to play him. Don't know what's going on there, but I would love to see Olave get an opportunity with a quarterback that can get the ball down the field.
Agreed. So yeah, and then to polish it off there, the Discord actually you put up the poll on for the Discord did agree and selected Kenneth Walker as well. So a lot of us all going Kenneth Walker here. So yeah, congrats on him. He had an amazing year, big things to come still, huge dynasty asset. So yeah, shout out to Ken Walker. Before we get into any more of the awards here, we have Underdog Fantasy deposit match up to $100. Use the code GF2. Get your $100 deposit match. You put $100 in, they're going to match $100. So that's always what we're advertising here. It's a great way to gamble, enjoy the game, everything like that over there with those guys. They're really fun. They do a lot of great things with us. So we definitely show your support. Go over there, use their app. It's a great time.
Yeah, and just to piggyback on that, this offseason, we here at the Dynasty Gambit, along with other members of the Going for Two family, will be doing some best ball stuff going into the 2023 year. Now, if you'll go to the Jeff's page over on Twitter, he does drop he's already dropped 2, I think, but we're going to be dropping a few more probably of the playoff best ball. Little $3 here, $4 there, whatever it is. I think it's $3 if I'm not mistaken. But so yeah, we're going to be doing a lot of the best ball stuff this offseason, getting ready for 2023. So we will be doing that here on this channel as well as throughout the Going for Two family.
Definitely. So with that being said, get back into the rewards. So we're going to switch it up here and go Offensive Player of the Year. And I'm going to go ahead and take the lead on this one. Just going to keep playing a little ping pong here. So we also, for this one, have the same. All three of us actually have the same. So it's just Justin Jefferson. I mean, the kid had an incredible year. He has a chance to break the all-time receiving record. Last week didn't help his chances at all, but he still does have a chance if he goes off this week against the pitiful Chicago Bears. So there is a chance if he plays the whole time. Still up in the air, I think, if they're going to play the whole time. I know they still have an outside chance to improve their seeding, but we will have to see what happens there. But yeah, Justin Jefferson, man, I mean, he's been the Dynasty wide receiver one, I think, for at least a year now, if not longer. I know people, have their cases for Chase, stuff like that, but the kid delivered. He was incredible. He didn't have that many touchdowns. He only had 8 touchdowns, which he still has this weekend to go. But the yards are there. He is a dynamic wide receiver, an alpha wide receiver. So, yeah, I mean, it's quarterbacks. I mean, we're kind of following the trend here of the actual NFL where the offensive player of the year is one and then the MVP is probably a quarterback. But, yeah, so we all went Justin Jefferson, so I will let Jason take it away here and give us his thoughts as well.
Yeah, I just want to back up one quick second with the rookie of the year because I wanted to pull this up as we were talking about it and I forgot. So, you mentioned that the Discord went with Kenneth Walker as well. The right behind him though was Garrett Wilson, and then Dameon Pierce as far as the way the Discord voted for the rookie of the year. Yeah, I mean. You take week 17 out for Justin Jefferson. I mean,
he basically took himself out. So
well, yeah, but if you just take that out of the scoring, I mean,
right.
dude, still at 360 freaking points for the year.
From a receiver,
yeah, he's 229 yards or something like that away from 2,000. Yeah. I mean, good God. It's just like, I don't even know if Christian Kirk knows that anybody else, or Kirk Cousins knows that anybody else is a wide receiver on that team. It's just phenomenal what Justin Jefferson continues to do.
Right.
So that's why I gave him my vote. He's proven year in, year out. Everybody knows that he's going to be the one guy, and they just can't stop him until week 17. Well, at that point, it's too late. He's already won everything.
Right. And that looks like Jamie here agrees with us. He says Jefferson killed it for sure. Thanks for chiming in there, Jamie. Appreciate it. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and give my second place, and I actually went with Austin Eckler for Offensive Player of the Year. For someone that in redraft, you were probably getting at the turn of the first round, somewhere in that range. And, as value a little bit dipped in Dynasty, as, he's getting a little older. It scares a lot of people, the running back. Coming off kind of an injury-prone season, really showed out. I mean, his numbers are just absolutely incredible. He's obviously a week winner for a lot of different people, but every single week, man, I mean, the Chargers this year, I have some exposure to Justin Herbert, and I will say that Austin Eckler, if you did not own him, was super frustrating if you were a Herbert owner because he got all the touchdowns, had a lot of big plays, everything like that. So Austin Eckler for me, just incredible year for someone that, I had, going into the year is, just right around the top 5 running backs, maybe a little bit on the outside looking in. So, yeah, really incredible bounce back year for him.
Yeah, my second place vote is Patrick Mahomes. For the reasons that I gave. Same thing with Justin Jefferson. The dude was giving nothing for wide receivers, and still turned out to be exactly what Patrick Mahomes is. We all thought that there was going to be a slide, a dip, whatever you want to call it. Because of the Tyreek Hill trade. And then after I think it was probably about week 4, week 5, we're like, yeah, I don't think there's going to be a dip for either of them.
Right.
So I'm going to throw him as my second place. And the reason why is because he did not win my MVP. But I'm going to give him my second place as far as Offensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, and that's fine. He's going to be brought up again for sure later on in the show. So we will circle around back to him. In the meantime, we are going to move on here to the coach of the year. So, Jason, I will let you take the floor.
Yeah, I think this one is pretty simple. You had a first year head coach walk in the door with a basically a lame what we were considering a lame duck at quarterback, zero wide receivers, and they made the playoffs. Ryan Dayball, what a phenomenal freaking job that dude just did with Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley. Basically, is his only two weapons. They built an offensive line that for the most part stood up all year long. Probably in one of the best divisions, if not the best division. I know we thought the AFC West was going to be really, really good. I think the NFC East actually turned out to be ultimately the best division with the the Bears. I mean, with the with the Bears, with the Cowboys, the Reds, or the Commanders, the Eagles, and the Giants. So, man, Ryan Dayball, what a great job. Props to you. I know a couple people on Twitter were saying that they picked Dayball at the very beginning. I was not on Dayball to start with, but I guess about 6 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, somewhere in that range, I was like, man, what he's doing with Daniel Jones and how he's making it work is absolutely phenomenal. So I would definitely give the coach of the year to Ryan Dayball, and Dan Campbell would be my second.
Yeah, hard to argue against any of those. I actually, I wanted Dayball to actually be the coach of the Bears just because I had seen what he did with Josh Allen over with the Bills. So, not surprising that he was able to kind of. I know, Daniel Jones hasn't, in the same category as Josh Allen, but vastly improved him and maybe even saved his career a little bit because he's probably going to be a starter again next year. If not with the Giants, at least probably somewhere. But it sounds like they're leaning towards bringing Saquon and Daniel Jones back. So we'll see what happens there. But that was also Brian Dable. So I'm actually going to go a little bit different. Another rookie head coach. So I'm going with Kevin O'Connell with the Vikings. This team had more expectations than the Giants. I think that's fair to say. But I didn't expect them to be this good. I mean, they were, barreling down looking at the number one seed, right in the eye, all the way down to the wire here, and still have an outside chance to get it. So, yeah, for the Vikings, I think everyone kind of thought Green Bay was still going to rule that division. Which, the Bears and Lions, we obviously knew weren't going to be too competitive. But for them to go ahead and take over, he's done a great job with them. Anytime you can come in and have, less than 3 to 4 losses as a rookie head coach, I think you're doing something right. You've motivated the guys there. So I went with Kevin O'Connell. And for my second, I like the Dan Campbell pick that you had there. But I actually went with Nick Sirianni with the Eagles. I have to say about Nick, I've never been more unimpressed with someone than I was with him at his introductory press conference. It's kind of been viral where, he could barely even get through a couple sentences and just was extremely nervous and flop sweating all over the place, basically. And to him to actually turn into this, pretty incredible coach and, has the respect of his team, everything like that. I had to give it to Nick solely for that reason, just because I don't think I've ever been as wrong on someone based off a first impression as I was with him.
No, and I can completely agree with Nick Sirianni. He was probably my third, and the only reason I would have dropped him to third is because for one, I'm not even an Eagles fan, and I didn't expect what the Eagles are doing now. By no means did I expect that, but I expected the team to be good. So I mean, Nick Sirianni, I had him on my list, and it was just like one of those, like, yeah, but it almost seems too obvious.
Right.
You got the best team in the league, and I mean, come on, how look, dude was good, but you want to bring up introductory press conferences, then Dan Campbell wins it all.
Oh,
he
yeah.
wins it. We're biting kneecaps. I mean,
right.
But what Dan Campbell has done with Detroit, and heck, week 5, week 6, we were already thinking Dan Campbell is not built for this. It's not built for this. This is not going to work out well. And maybe it was just the system. Maybe it was just trying to get to know each other. Whatever the case was, they came together, and Detroit is on the verge. If they beat the Packers, and then if Seattle loses, they're in. And you're talking about a team that no, they don't have very good defense, but they have one hell of an offense, and they can throw 40 points up on anybody.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what your defense is. They're going to throw 40 up. So your offense better score too.
Yeah, they're going to be a really scary team here in the NFC North for quite a while, I feel
Yeah.
like. They got Aiden Hutchinson that was brought up earlier by some of the guys commenting that, he's a stud, and they got 2 first-round picks this year and keep adding. So that team, be on the lookout for the Lions. I think they're kind of finally starting to figure things out after, 80 years or however long they've been in the league. But, I'm not going to throw too many more digs. I had to get that in. But, so that's also one that the Discord voted on, and they also agreed Brian Daboll for the Coach of the Year. So seems pretty unanimous. I think he's got the best chance to win it just because, like you said, that team had no expectations coming into this year. And to be basically in the playoffs as of right now, pretty impressive.
No, I think they're actually locked in, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong,
Okay.
but I think they're locked in.
All right. Well, there you go. All right. So now we have our last, at least award of what we're going to be doing tonight, and it's MVP. So like you said earlier, Mahomes is a pretty obvious choice for this. It's a quarterback award. That's who Brian actually is taking. So he has Mahomes, which it's hard to argue against. He's the number 1 scoring quarterback this year. And, a lot of us, like you said earlier, had some questions about, how he was going to perform this year. We really only had Kelsey. He's surrounded by MVS and Juju Smith-Schuster, who, had started off promising, but kind of fell off there towards the end. And, even though Juju didn't have as far as, it was pretty solid. It just wasn't, I think, what some people thought Mahomes was going to do to him. But Mahomes, man, is just, probably going to, I would say, has a really good chance to win the MVP in the real NFL as well. So, I mean, that's not my pick. I think me and Jason actually have the same pick again. We've been in pretty lockstep here with our awards for the season, but just wanted to give a shout out to Mahomes because I actually was on that train where I thought, say Kelsey got hurt. Who's he throwing the ball to? Is he going to be one of these quarterbacks that can lift the guys around him like we've seen Brady and Rodgers and all of them do, which obviously he answered that with an emphatic yes. I mean, he still has Kelsey out there, but, to lose Tyreek Hill and still put up MVP numbers, pretty impressive stuff. So, go ahead, Jason. I'm actually going to throw it to you, too, after Mahomes to give us, since we have the same pick, but go ahead and give us your thoughts on Mahomes.
Yeah, no, I agree with everything you just said. That's why I brought him up a little bit ago, because I wanted to make sure that we got to give him his due, because this was completely unexpected, at least in my mind. I didn't think he was going to have a bad year, but I didn't think he was going to have a QB1 overall year, with the weapons that were around him. But man, props to Mahomes. He's not my MVP pick. My MVP pick, because I'm strictly looking at this side of things with fantasy, and it's going to be Jalen Hurts. The reason it's Jalen Hurts for me is, yes, he's QB3 overall. So you have, you got Mahomes and you got probably Allen, I think is 2 right above him. But we looked over the last 2 weeks, and this team is completely different without Jalen Hurts at quarterback. Whether it's the threat of him running, or whether he can actually throw the ball, which we've seen he can actually throw the ball. So that threat goes away, and the team concept, or the play calling and everything is completely different with Minshew or whoever else they want to, Ian Book, if they want to throw Ian Book back there. It's going to be different. So Jalen Hurts is my fantasy MVP. I don't know that he's going to play this week either. The report today was he was eliminated at practice. But again, it's Jalen Hurts is proven, even the Philadelphia Eagle fans that are doubters about Jalen Hurts, he's proven them wrong. So give Jalen Hurts all the credit in the world for doing what he's done. Yes, they put the weapons around him, but the old saying is true. You can take a horse to water, you just can't make him drink. You can put all the weapons around you want to, and they're still going to flounder if they suck. right?
Exactly.
So this dude has proven that he does not suck, number one. He is a damn good quarterback. He can throw it. He can run it. He is the MVP.
Yep, I completely agree with that. There's been, all season long, it was, the knock against him when he was still leading in the MVP category was, oh, you put anyone back there and they're going to succeed with that team. Well, Gardner Minshew is one of the best backups in the league. And albeit he's not doing terrible, you can see right now, you can't just throw anyone back there and expect to have the same results. So I think him actually missing these last couple of games has really solidified it for the real MVP award in the NFL and then for fantasy as well for the value you got on him. I mean, he was going, after Russell Wilson in a lot of different leagues, this year. So, props to that, So, I mean, he made a believer out of me. I was, a little unsure about him as well. And he slammed that door shut. So I think, he's the MVP for me as well.
Right.
All right, folks. So we are going to get into, we have two categories left here. We're going to give you who our Super Bowl matchups are, and then we're going to give you a 2023 bold prediction. So
well, real quick. I just want to back up for just a quick second because I want to give the Discord their credit because they did vote. Yep. So for MVP, it was overwhelming Hurts. And then, of course, for Coach of the Year, again, overwhelming Ryan Daboll. So we were right in step with our Discord as well. Ironically, our Discord was right in step with me, Ryan Daboll, Dan Campbell, 1-2 as far as Coach of the Year. And then right in step with both of us, it was Hurts and then Mahomes for fantasy MVP. So I just wanted to give the Discord their due credit there.
Oh yeah, for sure. So thanks again to everyone who participated in voting in that as well. So now we're going to get into our Super Bowl predictions. Don't have scores on here. We're just going to give who we think is going to make it. Could give scores if we want to, if we're feeling frisky, I guess. But I'll start off with Brian. He's got the Bills and 49ers. So I like that. I mean, it's hard to go against the Bills. I mean, they're the number one seed, at least as of right now. We'll still see what happens. And the 49ers, man, ever since they added CMC and then Brock Purdy came onto the scene, I mean, it's pretty nice to just be down to your third-string quarterback, and he might be the best one you've started all season. So props to the 49ers there.
Trey Lance, I heard Trey Lance has already got his house up for sale. That's what I heard.
Yeah. I mean, if they want to keep him, he runs the offense. I mean, that's kind of what they've always said about the Shanahan tree is that, you can, make quarterbacks better in that system. So we might just be seeing, that's what's happening at play here. But I am going to stick with Brian a little bit. I am choosing the 49ers to represent the NFC. And I'm going to say the Bengals are going to come back to the Super Bowl and win the AFC there. So, I mean, I know we only saw a little bit of it, on Monday night. But, man, Joe Burrow has that offense looking great, man. I mean, that's a pretty good defense over there with the Bills. I know they got some injuries and stuff like that. But he went right down the field and scored on them right into the opening drive. So, looks really good. I hate to count against Joe Burrow. He's one of my favorite players in all the NFL. So, that's what I got. 49ers, Bengals, and Jason, I will kick it over to you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in lockstep in the AFC. It's Bengals for me. What I've seen for them, offensively, defensively, they've gotten a little bit better. I truly think that offense though is it's just a well-oiled machine. When you have T. Higgins on one side, you have you got Chase on the other. When you have the P. Ryan and Mixon both able to run the ball and receive the ball, and then you throw that offensive line is starting to gel. That was a question mark at the very beginning of the season. That line wasn't gelling right away. There was some issues. That line seems to be gelling right now. Joe Burrow is feasting on zone defense and just eating up man-to-man with Chase. So, yeah, it's Bengals out of the AFC for me. Don't
forget about Trenton Irwin also coming out of there. Came on strong 3 or 4 games ago. I'm just kidding.
Tyler Boyd Jr.
Right.
I'm going a little bit different on the NFC from the way you and Brian looked at the NFC. If Jalen Hurts gets back on the field, which I think he does. If he doesn't this week, it's next week in the playoff game. The Eagles are going to push all the way through. I want so bad to sit here and tell everybody in the world, and I may say this, and I don't believe it, but Tampa Bay should be in the Super Bowl. I don't believe that. I'm going with the Eagles out of the NFC. I truly think that when Jalen Hurts is on that field, that is a completely different offense. It's so dynamic.
Right.
As a defense, you have to cover so many different things that Jalen Hurts can do. Here's the sad part. The Eagles' defense is probably better than their offense when they are working together. That defense doesn't allow much. So I am taking the Eagles-Bengals and simmer down, Philly. Eagles win the Super Bowl.
Oh, man, getting their second one. All
Yep.
right. Well, and we got Jamie coming back here in the comments. So he's got Bills versus Eagles as his. So like that, it seems like we all have, 2 or 3 of the same, team. A lot of the gist here. So yeah. With that being said, we're getting into our last topic here. So I'm going to kick it over to Jay. 2023 bold predictions for fantasy football and just the regular season.
Yeah, actually, I have 2 bold predictions for fantasy. Trevor Lawrence, QB1 on the year. I think it's pretty damn simple. You have Christian Kirk, who is the most overpaid wide receiver 2 in the league. And he's damn good. He's proven that this year. Him and Lawrence have a connection. You have probably the best if he hadn't gotten injured last year and this would have been his rookie year. ETN was damn good.
Yeah.
So you've got an outside or a slot, whatever. You've got a running back, and then you have Ingram, who everybody was throwing away. And he got a 1-year deal. The Jags can go and re-sign him. Yeah, okay, maybe he makes a little bit more than he made this year. Another prove-it deal, whatever. Maybe a 3-year deal. Now you have your tight end set. You've got a little bit on the offensive line. Now, guess who's coming next year that we haven't seen in 2 years? Calvin motherfucking Ridley.
Right.
So now we have 2 number 2 wide receivers, basically, because you put Calvin Ridley as a 2. You put, Christian Kirk as a 2. They have draft capital. They can go get another wide receiver. They can also build on that defense. So I'm saying Trevor Lawrence, QB1 on the year for fantasy. And then my second bold prediction, real life football, Jacksonville Jaguars, number 1 overall seed in the AFC 2023.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that division's there for the taking. I mean, they have a chance to win it again this year with barely even a winning record. So definitely like that. I like all that. I mean, that offense should be humming next year.
Yeah, the other thing that I forgot to mention was you got to remember, this is Trevor Lawrence's second year, but it's his first year in Doug Peterson. Next year will be his second, and we've seen what Doug Peterson does in his second year with quarterbacks.
And how important that is just for any quarterback to stay in the same system. I mean, basically a rookie year all over again of having to learn the playbook, call the plays, the verbiage, all that. It's not easy. So I'm actually in a similar ilk, but I'm actually going to be a major homer here. But I actually do think this is.
Hey, we need a buzzer. Homer,
Right?
Homer.
But I really do think this is actually a very real possibility, and that's that Justin Fields be one in 2023 in fantasy. I mean, we've already seen what the kid can do with his legs. If the Bears do what they can do with having the most money to spend in free agency, granted this free agency class isn't great, but also borderline or having a top 2 pick at the moment, could have the first overall pick, put some weapons around this kid, put an offensive line around this kid, and we've seen some pretty incredible throws from him. I think he's going to take a step forward as a passer, and we know what he can do with his legs. So I think Justin Fields finishes as QB1 overall. So that's I guess we don't have one from Brian, so maybe we can get that at a later date. But so thanks for joining us here, folks, this week. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Jay, putting this show sheet together, getting awards put on Discord. Make sure you guys are going over to the Discord channel, participating in fun stuff like this. We got a lot of stuff to throw your way this season and this off season. So speaking of the off season, we are going to be transitioning into our off season mode. Probably going to take a little bit of a hiatus here, so we won't be on next week, but probably, touch in, at least for the playoffs, maybe even have a small episode if we want to touch in, something like that. We're still talking about it, but keep your eye on GF2. We'll be posting about it. Look at the YouTube channel. We'll make sure to there is an episode. You'll have plenty of notice that we're going to be on. So thanks, everyone, for joining us this season. It was a great season, so I'm going to go ahead and kick it over to Jay so he can let you know what's going on with him, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, so you'll catch me here every Thursday night that we are on. Like Devin just said, I may even just pop in every now and again just to throw a quick episode together, even if it's by myself. If I can get Devin on, if I can get Brian on, just a quick one, especially during this playoff season. We may do something crazy like that. We may, going into the off season, I've got a couple different ideas for even next year that we've already talked about. That Devin's going to be a part of, Brian's going to be a part of. We may have some other guests come on and be a part of. But you catch me here on Thursday nights. You catch me on Wednesday nights over on Fantasy Intervention. You can follow me over on Facebook at FantasyJ77. Spell out the J, FantasyJay77. And like Devin just said, just keep an eye on what's going on with the Going for Two Network. You can jump into the Discord. It's free. By the way, it's free. I put stuff like this in the Discord with polls, and I got access to do that now, so I can put polls about all kinds of things. If we want to talk about movies, if we want to talk about football, if we just want to talk about our girlfriends, we can do that too.
Right.
The Discord is completely free. Jump into that. It's over at Going for Two. If you can't find the link for it or whatnot, hit me up on Twitter, DM me. My DMs are open. And I'll get the link and I'll send it to you. That way you can jump in. But other than that, man, every Wednesday night, and then I think we're going to run over to like every Thursday coming up soon, here. So yeah, I'm going to be around though. I'll be on Twitter. I'll be around on the Discord. Just hit me up. You can @ me on any of them and I'll answer.
Yep. And then, you can find me at Devin Deal on Twitter. It's going to get fun. I know the fantasy season, unfortunately, is coming to an end, but, it kicks off draft season, all the fun parts about, getting into the combine, all that type of stuff. So even though there's no physical football being played anymore, it's still a really fun season, especially on the Dynasty Gambit. We're going to be covering prospects. We're going to be looking at tape, all that type of good stuff, and sharing that information with you guys. So definitely a lot of information still to come from us. Like I said, it might not be a weekly basis type situation, but we are still going to be here for you, breaking down these players that are coming into the NFL draft. So Jay, it looks like you got something you want to add in here?
Yeah. One thing I forgot. If you need to get over to the goingfor2.com, there's a bunch of content on there as well, but that will give you the link to the Going for Two Discord. I believe it's at the bottom right. So I just wanted to remind people that you can go to goingfor2.com. Again, check out a bunch of content, and as well as that there's the link to the Discord is in the bottom right there as well.
So yeah, definitely check that out. Like I said, keep us locked in here. We're going to be bringing you content all off season. So with that being said, for Jay and myself, thanks for tuning in to the awards. Thanks for joining us all season. We appreciate all the comments, and we will talk to you in the off season.